What is going on, everybody? AJ Riley here with Eric Vincent for your favorite Detroit sports show, Beyond the Box. We had a great live last night talking about saying sayonara to Jeff Okuda. CJ Stroud was in the building this week, and also Devin White, once out of Tampa Bay. Maybe that's an interesting thought. So if you want to check out that video, make sure you get to it over on our YouTube page. Tonight, we're going to do a little deeper dive onto Jalen Carter, our number 2 prospect for the number 6 position that the Lions have in the draft. Eric, it is Friday, my man.
I'm ready. It's game time. Let's get it.
All right. Jalen Carter coming at you next. All right, so let's jump into Jalen Carter, the football player. Now listen, we know there's red flags. We know there's some hesitation from fans of should you draft him, even though he came in 9 pounds heavy to his draft day, declined to run the 40, failed to finish some drills. Like, should you draft him and waste a number 6 overall pick on him? And the question, Eric, should you?
Absolutely you should, especially if you're the Detroit Lions. It shouldn't be a thought. See how I just took a second to even think about it? Already in flagrant off of that. I thought too long. If the Lions are at 6 and Jalen Carter's name is still there and Will Anderson is already off the board, Brad Holmes should be there with that envelope as Seattle is done with their pick, assuming they're still ahead of the Lions.
Making the NFL
absolutely.
mad again.
I don't care. Let Roger Goodell be PO'd. I absolutely think you should. So, he's to me the second best player of this draft, even with the off the field issues that people are so concerned about, which are completely valid. I've said this repeatedly, and I'm going to stick to it. I believe the Lions have the leadership and the team around them, especially with the veteran secondary players they just added. I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is really going to hone in on being the captain of this defense. And I think he'll be able to keep guys like Jalen Carter in spots to focus on football and growing, not just as a player, but as a man in general. Like, I think they have the right pieces around them. I think Dan Campbell will help out. I think the Lions are the best team to put Jalen Carter in a winning position. I don't think it's a question. You take Jalen Carter if he's available.
Yeah, I don't really think it is either because of what sets him apart from any other draft prospect. Yep. He is the best prospect in the league coming into this draft at defensive tackle, a position that you could upgrade, and we'll talk about that, right? He's not the best prospect because that's Will Anderson, which, again, we want Will Anderson if he's there and Carter's there. But we're not going to be upset if Carter's taken. Because this is a guy that, according to PFF, went 392 snaps last year. And what's his big knock, Eric?
His conditioning.
His conditioning. Can't stay on the field, right? 273 of those 392 snaps were against the pass.
That says a lot. That's huge.
119 were against the run. And he graded out overall from PFF as a 92.3. Arguably the best prospect in this draft. What sets him apart?
Everything.
He's a phenomenal football player. And to your point, if they put things around him that should make those offseason issues irrelevant.
And I don't understand the knock on the conditioning anyway, because for me, I love to have that for reference anyway, because yes, he's a D tackle. He's 6'3", 300 pounds, big boy. But for me, D tackles are not predicated for playing 3 downs any damn way. So if he's giving you 2 dominant downs per possession, I'm okay with that, regardless of whether it's run or pass, because he's shown to be productive with both. So to me, like we talk about in the comments, like they talk about a lot in the comment section, to me, that's what you want him to be. You want him to be productive in 2 downs, letting Bugs be productive in 2 downs, letting McNeil shine in 2 downs. We'll break down more of the defensive tackles later, but
Levi,
if he comes back. Like, I think you're supposed to have versatility at that position. You're not supposed to be relying on a D tackle to just stay in and play every down. Like, that's not realistic in the NFL or anywhere, honestly.
Which speaks to, I think, the impact that he can have when it comes to being a Detroit Lion. Yep. Now, you said last night you hope that he changes his number to 80 from 88, which, whatever, that's fine.
You gotta change it.
I don't care about numbers at this point. I hope he wears 0.
I do, no.
Oh, no, wait. He can't because Marvin Jones is wearing 0. And he's not wearing Uno because J-Mo didn't even let Okudah pack his bedroom before he's like, hey, I'm going to need that number.
Don't even bring that number up to J-Mo. It's mine, he says.
But when you think about it, it's kind of in the same vein that we talked about last week with Will Anderson. Mm-hmm. Not even last week. It was Tuesday's show this week. You get an opportunity to add Jalen Carter to Aiden Hutchinson and James Houston. That's not a bad down line situation.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No. And
red flags or no red flags, let's look at the football player. I mean, have y'all wanted to trade for Jalen Ramsey anyways? There's not red flags with him.
Right. Exactly.
Right? So why are we giving a guy who's established in his career a pass? Yeah, he's got production on the field. And we're not giving a 20-something-year-old kid a pass? We can't allow him the grace to grow up a little bit?
Exactly. You got to be sensible with that. And especially for a defensive tackle. Like, outside of Albert Haynesworth, how many, like, drama-filled D tackles are there in NFL history? Like, it's not receiver where they're predicated on getting Vince the ball.
Wilfork, maybe.
Sure, maybe, but I mean, he's that's Bill Belichick. And maybe, but those are 2 NFL champions you just brought up. So I mean,
great.
Either way, I'm fine with that. Either way, but the point is, it's not like a receiver where like the character and all that is like predicated to their production, because D tackles are not a position where it's, predicated on numbers and being involved. All he has to do is be on the field. If he takes on a double team and Aiden gets a sack, he's going to be hype about it. Like, I don't think he's going to be I need my numbers. The D tackle's not a position where you need that. So this isn't like to me, if it were like a problematic receiver and they were in this position, we both would probably say, you know what? Probably not. But for a D tackle, as important as that position is in that D line, it's a no-brainer. Go get Jalen Carter.
Except we disagree on J-Mo, but I've maybe overreacted to him, so I don't want to – I'm not going to – listen, I love J-Mo. I hope he wears number 1, and when we play the Falcons, I hope he has 7 touchdowns against Jeff Okudah.
That's going to be so
set some kind of record, because if Okudah is covering him, that's going to be a lot of fun. And if you go to that game, you're going to need some swag to wear to that game. So, Eric, let's talk to the people about Gear Up Detroit.
Let's talk about it. Hey, Detroit sports fans, did you know you can now rep your favorite team in style without even leaving this page? Gear Up Detroit store is now available right here on YouTube, just below the video you're watching right now.
That's right. You can browse through all of our range of high-quality and unique and stylish merchandise for all your favorite Detroit sports teams, the Lions, the Tigers, the Red Wings, the Pistons, without missing a moment of Beyond the Box, your favorite Detroit sports show.
And Detroit sports fans, if you want to explore even more awesome gear and get your swag up like swagless AJ, you can always visit gearupdetroit.shop for a full range of tees, hoodies, hats, and more, all designed by talented local artists.
So for the next game, make sure you gear up, support local creators, and make a statement with Gear Up Detroit. And remember, you can shop right here below this video on YouTube, or always visit gearupdetroit.shop. Now, we've talked about Jalen Carter's impact. What do you think a potential projection for him could be? What's the impact?
For a player like him, I don't want to put too much on his plate, because again, for a position like defensive tackle, you're not always going to see his impact just right away. You're not going to see him, splashing and flashing immediately every down, maybe not even every possession. You're just not going to see that from a defensive tackle. But if you see the Lions rise up from the 29th ranked rushing defense that they had, where they were allowing like 140 yards a game, if I'm not mistaken. If you see that trimmed down to 110 or 100 and they're the top 10, 15 in that department, that's an impact for Jalen Carter. If you see the sack numbers going up and you see Aiden Hutchinson with double-digit sacks this year, and you see him batting down balls at the line, or if you see Aleem McNeil splashing and flashing, or even blitzes being able to be more productive, those are things you have to pay attention to know the value of a player like Jalen Carter. It's not going to be just easy to digest and see on your screen right away. You have to pay attention to it. But Detroit sports fans are some of the brightest and smartest around. So they'll understand, and I believe they'll see it having him on this defensive line. I think they'll see that impact right away from what they need.
I mean, we watched right there his highlights last night. Yeah. And again, they're highlights. So you're going to see a lot of tackles in the backfield. You're going to see some sacks, some forced fumbles, all those different things. I get all that. What we don't see, though, is the times when he's double-teamed and Nolan Smith gets the highlight reel play.
Exactly.
And that's all you're asking for from a defensive tackle. Yep. Was Warwick Sapp an animal at defensive tackle? Yeah, he was, and he created a lot of havoc.
Different.
But he also, because he was the anchor of that defense, and they built that defense around him to where Derek Brooks could shine. Is Derek Brooks an all-world linebacker if he doesn't play behind Warren Sapp?
Yep. No, not at all.
Maybe. Well, and that's what you're looking for when you draft a defensive tackle. I mean, listen, Derek Brooks is still a really good football player. I don't want to knock the guy, right? But at the same time, does he have the type of career that he has if he's not playing behind Warren Sapp, maybe one of the most lovable and potentially hateable defensive tackles in. Listen, that was a time when the Bucks had Mike Allstott and they had Brad Johnson and his elbow pads that linemen wear, and they had my favorite player back then, Warwick Dunn.
I was a Warwick Dunn fan. I liked him, even though he was
a huge Warwick Dunn fan. Madden '99, man, that's all I would play was the Bucks. And I'd go into the blimp view, and I would throw screen passes to Warwick Dunn and make one spin move and rack up those touchdowns. It was a lot of fun because that game is glitchy, and I exploited the glitch. But that's what when we talk. What?
No, yeah. I was gonna say you've hit on it. Like that defensive line, it was the anchor of that team. It was Simeon Rice and Warren Sapp, and I know I'm forgetting some other names, but yes. Derek Brooks ate off of that. John Lynch became better off that. They had great cornerbacks because of that. And that's something else we didn't mention. Like you'll see these veteran corners be able to they'll be able to respond better to the defensive line pressure to be able to create turnovers or get off the field easier on third down, which was another huge problem the Lions had last season. You'll see that improve next season with Jalen Carter.
Yeah, listen, if he's there at 6 and they pass on him, we said we would trust Brad Holmes. But that doesn't mean that we have to necessarily love the decision to pass on Jalen Carter, who is going to be trouble in the NFL. In the good way, not in the bad way.
A lot of people.
He's going to be a menace.
No, you ain't lying. And I think to me, because people's line in the sand is if we get a quarterback early, I think it's passing on Jalen Carter that would make me I've heard people say, oh, it would undo all the work and the good that you've done, which I don't even agree with either way. But you cannot let Chicago trade back from 1 to still get the same guy that you have a chance to get at 6. You cannot let that mistake happen. Please do not let that happen.
No, you cannot. But we want to know what you think, okay? What do you like about Jalen Carter? What don't you like about Jalen Carter? Let us know in the comments if you like the video that is happening right now. Make sure you like it and share it so we can continue to build this awesome Detroit sports community with your favorite show, Beyond the Box. Yeah. Now, if the Lions get Jalen Carter at 6, how is that then going to impact, and I want to do a little bit of a positional deep dive, on their defensive tackles? How does that impact their defensive tackle room? We know it's not going to affect Aiden Hutchinson except for in a positive way. James Houston the same way. Whoever they draft as an edge player, because there's most likely an edge player that's also going to be drafted.
For sure, yeah.
How does that impact the Lions room right now?
I think, to me, it has to be their number one priority, regardless of where you draft a D tackle. I do think that's their number one priority because you have edge rushers, you have some stability at linebacker. You have cornerbacks that have been revamped, a secondary that is much improved. D-tackle, I think, should be their number one priority. And I think they have some talent. I really love Aleem McNeil. I think he came on strong. He kind of came on strong right along where Hutch started spinning and getting things going in terms of their run defense and getting pressure on the quarterback. Like, I think that all kind of came together at the same time. And yes. I believe that is the biggest piece to completing this defense at this point. So Aleem McNeil is a good player, but I think he's a role player. I think Buggs is a good player. He's a role player. A guy like Jalen Carter, or maybe even Canty, depending on what he does, I think those two guys are game breakers that just change everything and make life easier for everybody around them. And that is something that they need more than anything. They need talented, good players, but they need a game breaker that is going to elevate the play of everybody around them. And D-tackle is the number one position that they can make that happen with.
It's absolutely the position that they can make that happen with, because what was the best defense when we were growing up? Because we're relatively the same age. Who had the best defense in the NFL? And if you do not say the team that I'm thinking of, we're going to have problems.
The 2000 Ravens?
Thank you for the love of it.
I know where you was going. Good. I'm pretty sure that was it. Yeah, it's the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, Super Bowl.
Right. But if you look at that Baltimore Ravens, did they have a bunch of Hall of Famers? Yeah, they did. Yeah. They were loaded with talent, for sure. Yep. But they also played very complimentary defense.
Facts.
Tony Siragusa, plug in the middle. Mm-hmm. Terrell Suggs on the outside. Ray Lewis in the middle. Ed Reed on the back end. Like, if one of them's not doing their job, if Siragusa doesn't do his job, then Lewis may be out of position.
Right.
And when we talk about the Lions' defense, they didn't really play much complimentary football, except for towards the end of the season last year.
Agreed.
When you had John Kaminsky come back, and you had Buggs stepping up, and Romeo Cora got on the field a couple of times.
Yeah.
And, truthfully, when James Houston played against the Bills, that's really when it started to take off. Your guy, James Houston.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
Because then everybody could play their position the way they were intended to play their position, and a guy like Aiden Hutchinson isn't expected to take over the game.
Right.
You're not relying on Thor to take over a game. You're not relying on the rookie Kirby Joseph in the back playing the game, or, wrecking the game.
Yeah.
So if you could line up a defense that was James Houston or John Kaminsky, Aiden Hutchinson, Jalen Carter, Aleem McNeil, maybe you make a trade for Devin White, and he's back there, and Malcolm Rodriguez. And then you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and you got Cam Sutton, and you've got Emmanuel Mosley if he's healthy, and Kirby Joseph as well. Like, that's a lot of really good complementary pieces.
Absolutely.
That could be, you talk about improving from like 140 rush yards a game to 110. That may even be overestimating a little bit.
Maybe a bit, yeah. It could be.
Yeah. So it's all about, for me, the complementary pieces. So let's look. We got a couple defensive tackles that we want to talk about right now. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Aleem McNeil. Let's talk about Levi Onwuzurike. I can't say it. Levi O is what we would call him if he was in my classroom when I taught school. Levi O.
Levi.
He's injured.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Campbell has no idea if he's even going to be ready for the 2023 season.
Yeah.
Because he has a back injury, and Dan says, listen, you just don't know with the back. Which would really stink, because right now he's the only black mark on Brad Holmes' draft guru-ness.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's like a gray mark. It's not even really a black mark.
Yeah, I don't freak out about it.
So if Levi's back and Aleem's back and producing, and you add Jalen Carter to that, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking elite. I'm thinking top 5. I'm thinking top 10. I'm thinking it's a very, very realistic possibility. I think Aleem McNeil had some of his coming out parties against the best some of the best rushing attacks that they had. Like, he played really well against Minnesota, against Dalvin Cook, had a breakout performance, I believe, against the Giants when they kept Saquon Barkley under wraps the entire game. Played really good against the Jets, even though one of their starters, I think was, I keep forgetting his name, but he was hurt. But even without that, they still were able to keep it. Breece Hall, boom. They're still able to keep him or the run game under check. And I believe he was supposed to be one of the breakout players for the Lions. And I don't think, maybe he might not have been great. You still see the upside, and we see the complimentary ball that he's playing. And again, you're not expecting Aaron Donald with him. You're not expecting Warren Sapp with him. You're expecting complimentary football, and it's supposed to impact everybody else around him. And I think that is very possible. Levi is a little different because that back injury is a problem. And I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor, obviously. I'm sitting here on a microphone, but I'm pretty sure it's safe to say back injuries don't get better as you continue to play football and line up the way that a D tackle has to. I think I'm safe enough to say that. So
I agree.
It's very unfortunate. Honestly, I don't really want to put a whole lot of football spin on it for Levi. I just hope he's okay in general. If we want to take this to a football conversation, why can't the Lions get no luck with second-round picks? Let's talk about that. I don't understand what it is about second-rounders from as long as my existence has been. We cannot get no luck with second-round picks. Ryan Broyles and Mikel LeSure and Levi and just Titus Young cannot get second-rounders right. So
Gerard Davis, wasn't he a second-round pick?
No, he was first. He was first. He was first. Jared Davis was first. Yeah,
Teez Tabor was a second-round pick. The Hawaiian kid. I know who you're talking about. It's skipping my mind right now. Talk to us in the comments if you know who it is. Give us the worst Lions second round picks. I want to say Vaitai, but it's not.
It's not him.
Because that's the guard.
I feel like it's a defensive player. I can't think of who it is. But you understand what I'm saying. Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
Second rounders.
It hasn't been good, and you want to see that kind of take a different stride in this year's draft.
DeAndre Swift, Kerryon Johnson.
If you are as excited about the NFL draft as we are, we have a surprise for you. May not even be a surprise at this point, Eric.
It's no secret at this point. Y'all know what time it is. Join us for our exclusive 2023 NFL Draft Live Show, where your favorite analyst, AJ, yours truly, and Dylan will be breaking down each first-round pick as it happens. That's right, we're going to be reacting to all the live drama, surprises, and jaw-dropping moments of this coming NFL Draft.
And we want you to be a part of it.
Yes.
That should excite you in and of itself. You get to hang out with us for 4 hours, because I'm kind of cool. Eric's really cool. And Dylan runs TikTok, so you know he's up with the modern kids and what they're doing. So let's make sure that you are there to interact with us. Share your thoughts, reactions, predictions in the comments, and we, your favorite hosts, will interact with you. Don't miss this chance to engage with your fellow Lions fans, your favorite Detroit sports hosts, and go Lions.
Yeah.
Now, Eric, before we wrap up, we got one more question.
Okay.
And we're going to jump on this because I don't want to overstate the case for Jalen Carter.
Okay.
But I feel like I have to ask.
Sure.
If they are lucky enough for Jalen Carter to fall at 6, which seems more and more likely the more these mock drafts come out.
Yeah.
Does that automatically make them a playoff contender?
Yes. I don't think that's unfair to say or unrealistic. You were already a playoff contender last season without him. And this I still can't believe this defense went from historically bad to one of the hottest defenses in the NFL. I don't even think that's a stretch to say at this point. Yeah, you plug him in, a D tackle, a position where you can see instant reward, honestly. I don't think it's a stretch to say at all. This weak NFC in a division that continues to fall down, as we keep talking about, I absolutely think he makes you a playoff contender. He's an instant impact type of guy. And again, defensive line is way too important to the NFL. You plug him in the middle with that talent that you already have, yeah, they're playoff contenders without question.
I'm going to go with no.
What?
I'm going to go with no for a couple of reasons. One, momentum doesn't carry over from the last season.
Okay.
So you still got to produce on the field.
Right.
Number two, they were not one defensive tackle away from the playoffs last year. And number 3, they're already favorites to be in the playoffs, baby. They have the 4th best odds to win the NFC. They have the best odds to win the NFC North.
So he can't change nothing if we're already there.
Yeah.
I love it.
Come on, man. Are you kidding me?
That was a great finesse by you.
Plan the parade right now. Okay? Plan the parade.
Cue the band up.
Yeah, but make sure it's like middle of April so we're not out there standing in like frozen Woodward.
Yeah.
Come on. Plan the parade, baby.
I like that.
And I'll even applaud for Jared Goff holding that Lombardi trophy when he drives by me. And then applaud when they sign him to an extension. Because you know if that man wins the playoff game and makes a run, he's their quarterback until he's in a nursing home.
Facts. He's getting his statue.
You know what? That's fine. Give him a statue.
He's getting a statue.
To end what, 66 years of futility?
Yeah. Yeah, he'd have earned it at that point.
I hope it's a picture of a statue of him, like patting Dan Campbell on the back.
Yes.
They need to be idolized together.
I'm with that.
But I don't think Jalen Carter makes them a playoff contender because they already are. Does he help solidify that? Oh, yeah. Okay. He for sure helps solidify that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they're already there. They're the best team in this North. Forget the Vikings. They're going to be terrible. They will have the best receiver in the NFL, though. Forget the Bears. Because even though some whack jobs thinks that Justin Fields is the 5th best quarterback, 4th best quarterback in the NFC, that's how mad it made me.
Yeah.
I can't even say it without getting, wanting to throw up in my mouth.
Your body just couldn't even produce it to say that with a straight face.
Brock Purdy ahead of Jared Goff as well. Daniel Jones ahead of Jared Goff as well. What are we doing?
No clue.
What are we doing?
Just absolute. The only thing that was right was having Jalen Hurts number 1. Everything else outside of that list was just pure garbage.
I will agree with you based on last year. Do I think he'll be the best quarterback in the NFC this year? No, I do not. But it doesn't matter because the Jared Goff-led Lions are going to win the NFC because they are already playoff contenders. They're going to host a playoff game at Ford Field. They're going to win that playoff game at Ford Field. Then they're going to host another playoff game at Ford Field. And hopefully it's against the Dallas Cowboys, and they put them in their place and keep them to be the most miserable team in America. Not America's team, America's most miserable team.
Yes.
And then let's head to the Super Bowl, baby.
Yes.
You heard it here first. We called Jeff Okuda. We've called a lot of things. I'll call my shot.
We like Babe Ruth over here. You know what we talking about. That's
just pointing.
Talk to
dead
him.
Center field. The best thing about that, if you ever see, there's actually a little bit of a video of it. The Cubs were jawing at him, and he was jawing at him from the box, and he said, "I'm gonna put one out right there." And then he's jawing at him around the bases. Oh. So I hope that happens with Jameson Williams too, right? Specifically against Jeff Okuda when they play the Falcons. Like, catch a touchdown, look back, do a backwards pedal into the end zone, get the flag, and throw your hands up. I don't care.
Mm-hmm. You don't care if he turns into Antonio Brown with celebrations?
And you know what his touchdown celebration should be?
What's that?
1, baby.
Stole the jersey. I am number 1. Play the Nelly song. Oh my God, that'd be great.
Because 2 is not a winner. 3.
How you know that? Oh my God! What?
Oh, I know. Nelly? Are you kidding me?
You just went up in my book. Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, Nelly is on repeat, my friend.
Oh, yes. You just went up in my book, bro. Yeah. That's fantastic.
Of course I did, because I'm a lot cooler than you think I am. You know why? Because I host this show, and we want to know what you think. Does Jalen Carter make the Lions a playoff contender, or do you agree with me that they already are? They don't need him, but he'd be a nice luxury to have. If you do, let us know in the comments. Make sure you're liked and subscribed to this YouTube channel and share this video. Give it a like so we can continue to build this Detroit sports community with your 2 favorite Detroit sports hosts. We'll be coming at you again live Monday night at 9 o'clock. Make sure you are there. Don't miss it because you're not going to want to, because there may be a hidden gem that we are talking about on Monday. Eric, have a great and safe weekend. Everybody that is watching, have a great and safe weekend as well. Eric and I will be back Monday night, and we will see you then. And as always, go Lions.